Welcome back to another episode of Movie Mayhem. As always, I'm Spanky.
I'm G.
Usual shout outs to Chucky's Playground, cool place to be. There's
Yeah.
the Metal Matt podcast, Chucky 115 Awesome, making his tribute videos. Simon Gray with the Ballad of Tiffany Valentine. He's kind of taking a break right now, I think. But we are definitely looking forward to seeing how he will end that. So just jump right into this week's movie, which G actually just finished watching.
Yeah, like 5 minutes ago.
And it's a movie I liked. I remember seeing it probably within a year after it came out. It's kind of a black comedy. Stars, like, oh my god, one of my favorite actors.
Ryan Gosling.
Oh my god.
Heartthrob.
Just brick in my mouth right now and I wouldn't even care.
Ew.
But,
The brother looks familiar, but I don't remember his name.
so, the movie we're talking about is from 2007, starring Ryan Gosling. It's called Lars and the Real Girl. And the only other people notable in this movie I notice are Kelly Gardner. She's, and then Paul Schneider. He was in Water for Elephants. Whatever the fuck that is.
Oh, that's that Robert Pattinson movie.
The Family Stone.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, this is, it's like a comedy drama. It's a little dark at points, but it's about a guy named Lars, played by Ryan Gosling, and he lives in, like, it's a garage, but it's converted into, like, a house, almost.
Yeah.
And it's all cozy, and it's the garage of his brother's house, Gus. And Karen is Gus's pregnant wife, and the house is what Gus and Lars inherited from their father.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why they share it. And this is a pretty simple movie. Like, the whole thing is Lars is kind of, like, at the beginning, he's not, I want to say, like, weird. He's just kind of quiet and he keeps to himself.
Yeah.
He's very reserved. He doesn't, like, there's parts where, like, his sister-in-law, so Gus's wife, Karen, tries to get him to have dinner with them.
Because I think ever since she found out she was pregnant, he stopped, coming around so much.
Yeah, and so he kind of just likes to keep to himself, and other than that, he's pretty regular. I mean, he goes to church every Sunday. He helps out.
He has a job.
He has an office job, and he kind of converses with some of his workers there. There's Kelly Gardner, who plays Margot. And
What's she in?
she's in a lot. And let's see, Kelly Gardner.
And the psychiatrist was played by the mom from Easy A.
Who is that? Patricia Clarkson?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, that bitch.
Call her bitch.
Okay, so Kelly Gardner, she's from a lot of shit. Like, this is what I really know her from, but the other one is, like, she was in that Tommy Lee Jones movie, Man of the House, where she was a cheerleader. She's in The Aviator. She did an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So, and, so pretty much, and she kind of has an interest in Lars.
Yeah.
Like, she wants his dick, and I can't blame her, because fucking Ryan Gosling, oh my god. And, like, and since Lars is kind of like, a hermit, and he keeps to himself, he's not really having any of it.
Yeah.
He just kind of plays it off, he's like, oh, okay. And then, so then he kind of gets intrigued by he has one coworker who's kind of like comical, and he's looking at these sex dolls
on the work computer.
Yeah, and that intrigues Lars, so he ends up ordering one, and he gets all excited when Karen calls and says he has a package. And then later, Lars comes up to the house, and he's like, "You mind if I bring someone to dinner?" Like he has a date.
Yeah.
And Karen and Gus are like ecstatic, especially Karen. Like, Karen has to be like one of the most like loving sister-in-laws ever.
Yeah.
She's really
She
nice.
worries about him.
And she just tries whatever to make him comfortable and to kind of, you know, just, I don't know, just kind of like let him into the family. And they're all excited, and then all of a sudden Lars brings one of the sex dolls he ordered in a wheelchair. And he says he met her over the internet. She was a missionary from Brazil, and she's named Bianca, and she doesn't really speak English. So at first they kind of just go with it. Like, they're a little concerned. And they think Lars, like, finally snapped. And pretty much, like, that's kind of the gist of this movie. It's as slowly, like, Lars integrates Bianca, his sex doll, that is his girlfriend.
Yeah,
into,
because they live in a small town, right?
Yeah, so everybody talks.
Yeah, so Karen and Gus kind of told everybody in the town, like, what was going on with him. And to just kind of go with it, because that's what the psychiatrist told them to do.
And one of the older ladies at the church doesn't even give a shit. She loves Lars. And, like, yeah, so, like, there's a family doctor who's a psychologist that they kind of trick Lars into talking to.
Yeah, by bringing Bianca in every week for help.
For treatment. The doctor makes up, because, you know, like, Lars becomes very delusional, and, like, for the most part, everyone is really accepting of Lars and, you know, what he's going through.
Yeah.
Like, but they make up this sickness so they can be like, oh, Bianca needs the rest. Oh, Lars, come talk with me. And then that's where you kind of find out, like, Lars is really kind of edgy right now because since Karen is pregnant and I guess, you know, his mother passed away after she gave birth to him.
Yeah.
So, and then it caused pretty much their father to kind of change dramatically.
Yeah, and, like, Lars is also very, like, he compares being hugged to, like, being whipped. Like, he says, like, being hugged is physically painful. And that is probably from, like, the first year of a baby's life. I took a parenting class in high school. The first year of a baby's life, it's really important to have, like, skin-to-skin contact with your mom and stuff and to feel, like,
well, what the
love
fuck?
from your
You
mother.
all rubbing babies on you?
No,
what the
breastfeeding
fuck?
and stuff.
Ugh, I get to breastfeed it? Baby want my milk. Yeah, I'm gonna get you pregnant.
Oh, good Lord.
And
but yeah, and then since Lars never had any of that, I think, like, and I feel like a lot of the time when something like that happens, a father, like, sometimes they'll feel like a bitterness towards that kid.
And that's the thing, like, after, because Gus is the older brother, and after the mom died, like, Gus kind of left.
Yeah.
And it kind of left Lars with his dad, who was very heartbroken. And that's where kind of Lars got his fear of having children. And it kind of is what made him refuse intimacy of any sort from people.
Yeah.
So, you kind of find that out as the movie progresses. And as I said, as the movie progresses, the whole town and, you know, the community, they accept Bianca. Like, even his coworkers, he even brings her to a coworker's, like...
Party.
Yeah, like, holiday party or something. He's dancing with her, and they even have her sit in circles with him as they talk.
Yeah,
Hairstyle.
and then, like...
The hairstylist even does her hair.
Yeah, and then the one store clerk gives her a job as a model, a.k.a. mannequin.
And, like...
She volunteers with the kids and volunteers at the hospital.
Yeah, because they put, like... They make it so it seems like she reads to kids.
Yeah, with, like, the Siri voice.
Yeah, and, but then there's, like... And then on the other hand, there's Margot, who, like, really, like, she's very accepting as well as Bianca, but she really does have a thing for Lars. She kind of gets a boyfriend, and she does that thing where, you know, she really doesn't care much about her boyfriend. The only reason she has him is to kind of flaunt him in front of Lars.
Yeah.
Like, she does that thing where she puts all the pictures up everywhere with hearts around it. And, you know, Lars kind of starts getting closer with her because she gets upset at the office one day. And that's when you find out that her and her boyfriend broke up. And during this whole time, like, the whole community is, like, spending time with Bianca, and Lars isn't able to keep Bianca to himself, which causes him a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And he gets scolded by people from the community. They're like, she's her own woman, let her interact with people, have her own friends.
Yeah.
And, like, so he goes, like, bowling with Margot, and they just kind of hang out. And
that's when I think he develops more, like, intimate feelings.
Yep, and that's where...
He shakes her hand at the end, which is something that he doesn't do, but he did it with no glove on.
Yeah.
Like, so it would be hand on hand.
So, and then this is kind of where, like, it comes to full term, like, because, you know, he's starting to bond with Margot. It's kind of like, and as the psychologist said, like, you know, Bianca will go when it's time. You know, he's just working through it. And that's kind of what Lars does. He kind of, you know, tells everyone that Bianca pretty much, dies. Like, says...
Yeah, well, like, the one day he freaks out because she won't wake up, and she's like, and then they even, like, call 911, and 911 knows about the whole situation, and they give her a room at the hospital, and then she eventually... dies. And I cried because they were so nice, like, to him. They sent all these flowers and stuff.
They had a whole big funeral procession with everyone there.
Then nobody wore black because it was a different kind of funeral, and she loved everybody, but she loved Lars the most. And then he smiled and he was crying, and I was crying. It was just so sad.
Fucking fruit. And they bury Bianca in the cemetery even. And then it kind of ends with Lars and Margot standing at the gravesite. And, like, Margot's kind of like, well, maybe I should go with everyone else. And Lars is like, no, you can stay and we'll...
Well, like, do you want to go for a walk? And then she's like, yeah.
And it's kind of like Lars moving on.
Yeah.
So, and, like, and that's the movie. It kind of has a happy ending, a little bittersweet, and, like, the comedy aspects, it's not a lot of, like, slapstick, ha-ha-ha comedy. Like, it's just, like, the first time you see the doll and the reactions.
Yeah, and then, like, when they put her in the bedroom or whatever, and then Karen, like, looks under her skirt and is like, oh my god.
Because she wants to see if she has a fucking clam. And... and then, like, there's even one time when Karen, like, snaps at Lars. He's like, everybody is taking care of Bianca, and she is not a petite girl. She is a heavy girl.
Yeah, she is a big girl.
And
because, like,
they
Lars
wash
said
her
at the door, like, oh, Bianca's really religious. Like, we don't want to stay in the garage together. Is it okay if she stays in your house?
And they stay in the
And
pink
so, like,
room.
yeah, and she's in a wheelchair.
So he doesn't even fuck the thing.
No, but at the end, before she dies,
He fucks it.
he does
No.
kiss her.
Yeah. So.
And then he's crying and stuff.
So yeah, that's where like the comedy comes in. It's more of like the reactions of people, and it's just really quirky.
Mhm.
So, and yeah, as I said, I this came out in 2007, and I probably saw it the year after. I just remember seeing some trailers for it, and it was just so fucking odd. And I'm like, I need to find this movie and I need to watch it.
So that you could jerk off to Ryan Gosling being
Oh
quirky?
my god, that was before before my nipplitudes of justice hardened at his presence. I just wish
Nipplitude?
he would sit on my face and eat a plate of pancakes for an hour every day for the rest of my life.
Why pancakes?
Why not?
You're so weird. And you can't get mad at me, Spankatron, for freaking crying at this movie because you cry at E.T.
I
All
almost
the
cry at E.T.
and Forrest Gump.
That's a sad fucking movie. But, yeah, this
Is
movie
he
has its
smart
sad...
or is he like me?
Mama said they'd be my magic shoes. Mama said they'd take me anywhere. Jenny taught me how to read. I taught her how to dangle.
What was it? We was like peas and carrots
We
or
were
something?
like peas and carrots.
You did such a good impression of like everybody. I hate it.
But anyway, for a dramedy, it's kind of like a dark comedy drama. It's not very, I think it's PG-13. It's not really vulgar at all. It's a very,
No.
if you like kind of weird movies like this, I recommend it. I mean, it's not going to be for everybody.
I really liked it.
Yeah, I think some people it's just not their cup of tea. But, like, I tend to enjoy a lot of movies like this. So.
I like quirky movies too, so that's why I like when we were talking about Ryan Gosling movies. I just kind of watched this one today.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do more Ryan Gosling movies in the future.
Yeah, but I think My Heartthrob should be the next movie choice.
Yeah. We'll think about it.
Shut up, you know what's happening.
As long as I can fucking sit there and just blast one all over my chest thinking about Ryan Gosling. This sweet Canadian dumper of his.
Don't say dumper. Not polite.
But anyway, I recommend it, especially if you like these types of movies. It'll tug at your heartstrings.
Yeah, tugged at mine.
Yeah, frickin' G was being all fucking weird, being all sad.
How is that being weird?
Like that goddamn clown.
Happy.
That fucking opera clown Pagliacci or whatever. It's like Harold from Hey Arnold. Big ugly clown, oh. Big ugly clown, oh.
The whole thing about that is, I'm doctor, I'm so sad I can't be happy. Go see this clown tonight. I am the clown. Like,
But yeah, definitely see this movie especially if you're into Ryan Gosling. Highly recommend it.
yeah, it's really good.
I think that's all we got for this episode. As I said, this is a pretty simple movie. It's just kind of like the journey that it takes you on. It's pretty simplistic in the overall theme. And it's just kind of fun to see the road stops along the way.
Yeah.
So, and We won't spoil next week's episode for you, but I think we have something in mind.
Yeah.
And it has to do with what Eric Clapton should have named his kid, because he wouldn't have let that fall out of a window. Bazinga.
Seriously?
You've never heard that joke?
No.
Oh my god. You got it though, right?
Yes, I did.
Whatever, that was like 30 years ago or something. But anyway, thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed. And stay tuned. And
So bad.
What? What was that, G?
I think our connection lagged, but I said, you're so bad.
I'm not bad. But anyway, thank you for listening. We appreciate it as always. And stay tuned for next week's episode. And until then, stay classy.
See ya.